Did you explore those given methods on strings? Yesterday I asked to explore some methods, trim method and all those things. Yeah. So did you understand what's the input and what's the output or return type? It's not your job. It's my job. Is it? Okay. So
Half like that, sir.
to understand some methods, directly I'm taking one scenario or real-time scenario. So for this, I'm using a Java program. The requirement is write a Java program to print capital city of a given state. If state name is input, then capital city has to be the return value, and that value has to be printed. So this is a scenario. So for this, we go for first independent class. So I'll take a public class, some class name of programmer choice. I'll take it as some country is my class name. And inside this class, to write a logic part, we know that methods are meant for writing a logic. Then here, public, according to my requirement, the return type has to be capital city, which is a string. The next followed by method name get capital city is a method name which I am using by following camel naming standards. Then what's input of this state name? So that is a string type only. So string, I'm using st for state. So this is my method body. And for how many? So since to limit my discussion, I'll go for only some two to three states. So beat Karnataka, then we have to print Bengaluru. Then beat say Tamil Nadu, we have to print Chennai. And beat Telangana, we have to print Hyderabad. We have to return and print. So these are the three. If some else option is there, then we'll print only input is our program is works for Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Telangana. So let us ask the user to enter these three states only. Yeah. So for that, so already we have a variable. Then we can go for a condition. So first, if condition, if st to compare on strings, we have to use a equals method dot equals. And then here, wantedly I'm leaving some space dot equals of. So to compare the value Karnataka. So as a programmer, I am giving my input as in this process where my K is capital Karnataka. So for this, what is the expected result? So
Bangalore.
we have to print or return Bengaluru. Then followed by the alternate is else if block condition based. That's why if then equals state name dot equals method of the next say Tamil Nadu. Then wantedly I'm leaving some space. Then here we have to return say Chennai. The next once again one more else if block. So let me avoid this. Then finally we go for else block, else without any condition. So for this scenario, we have to return enter Karnataka or Bengaluru sorry, Tamil Nadu only. That's my else block message return value. Correct. So this is the normal logic which we already know. Then what is that? How to execute? Public class, some test class. Inside this public static void main method. And inside this main method, use the scanner class. I'm not writing. And by using this, we can read a string input called sc.next and store it into some variable of programmer choice yes, which is of string type. The enter statement, print statement, all those things are there. So these things we know. Once we have this yes variable, then by creating the object for the
Object.
class. So country, wantedly I'm leaving some space again. Country some C equals new country, and we can directly call this inside the print function because its return type is value type. Then C dot get capital city is the method name, and for this, to keep it as generic input, we have to pass the yes variable value. Then end of main, end of class. This is the program. Correct or not? Any mistakes? Any mistakes? So here what will add this scanner class object and all. Then here we'll add system.out.println. So print enter a state name. This is one line of code. So when JVM execute this one, so we are going to get the first console prompting. So in our console, we get enter a state name is the first, it will prompt us. So therefore, as a programmer, we have to, our end user has to give some name. So for this, if I give say Karnataka, what's output that we get?
Bangalore.
Bangalore is the
Bangalore.
output, correct? So this is fine. But assume the programmer or sorry, end user, instead of this way, instead of giving the input in this Karnataka, in place of this, the end user is giving the Karnataka spelling where everything is capital letters. End user is typing like that. Assume that we are booking a bus tickets. So we'll type right our own our own way. So in this way, if end user types the input, then what is the output of our program?
Enter
Karnataka or
Karnataka
Tamil
or
Nadu.
Tamil
But
Nadu.
programmer has entered all, sorry, end user has entered Karnataka only. Then do we say,
Ignore case.
yeah, end user's mistake, is it? It's not end
No,
user's
sir.
mistake because end user is entering the spelling correct, but case sensitivity is doesn't matching to our condition is one possibility. If everything is entered in Karnataka lowercase letters, Karnataka lowercase letters, still our program will give a meaningful output or meaningless output? Meaningless output. Then as a programmer, we have to take care about these things. How to take care? Whenever we have this string input, according to our logic, if our logic is everything is capital letters, if our logic is everything is a capital letters, then we have to convert this input string into uppercase letters by using string object dot, what's the method name? To uppercase. If you remember the method names, to uppercase, will it take an input? No. What it returns? A string once again. Yeah, we can reuse the variable without this type. So after that, then if the same yes is passed, user can enter in any case, but this method will convert into uppercase and it will match to our compared value. So assume that if you are using uppercase in place of this Karnataka, that's one possibility. Otherwise, we can write our logic itself in completely lowercase letters. Then what we can do? We can convert into, in place of uppercase, we can convert into to lowercase also. Still our program will give a output. Then I don't want this uppercase letter, lowercase letter headache and all. Then what simply we can do? In place of all these things, in place of this entire thing, we can go for ignore case. So what is that? Is equals, there is a method called as equals ignore case is a method. So even this conversion also not required. Any conversions are not required. Only if end user is entering the spelling correct, that's fine. So for that, we can go for one simple solution, equals ignore case. It means by just compare the values or content by ignoring the case. So here I can write Karnataka, N capital, A small, T capital, everything works now. Yeah. If the content is same or not, we are ignoring the cases. That's it. Okay. Similarly, here also, we can write st dot equals ignore case is a method. Equals ignore case is a method. Then here you can enter the state name of our choice in our own way. Only make sure that spelling is right. That's all. Now with this scenario, end user can enter all lowercase, all uppercase, one capital, one small. Still our program is going to give a meaningful output. Yeah, that's a use case of uppercase or lowercase or equals ignore case. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So then followed by, there is one more concern. What is that concern? So we made sure that if spelling is right, we are getting our program is giving the output. But by chance, when we entered some name, spelling is correct. Some Karnataka is a spelling and right correct spelling only according to our program. But by chance, user has entered some space extra at the last, or sometimes at the first also. It will happen. Yeah. So then, because of this extra space at the last, what's output of our program?
We enter Karnataka or
Enter
Tamil Nadu.
Karnataka or Tamil Nadu only, but entered correct only. What we can do is a end user mistake or programmer has to take care something about it. This is general scenarios, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So for that, to avoid this type of situations where if any extra space is entered at the last or entered at the first, as a programmer, we have to take care. That is to remove the spaces at the starting and at the ending, not in the middle. For that, on a string object, we can use a trim method. Trim method, and we can assign that result back to same variable called yes, and that yes will be passed as input to the method. So therefore, even though user enters some spaces wantedly or by mistake at the starting or at the ending, then those spaces will be trimmed by trim method. Means simply it will remove those spaces at the starting, at the ending. Then appropriate input value will be given to this yes variable, and that will be used as input. And here without any case sensitivity, if the spelling is correct, then our program is going to give a meaningful outputs. So when we develop any application, so these are things we have to keep in our mind. So these are programmer needs to take care, not end user. Okay, if we say that end user has to follow already all these things, then somebody else will write a program with all these facilities. They'll use that application, not our application. Yeah. Am I clear with this?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yeah. So this is one case study to understand some of the methods that we can use on a strings. So we discussed equals method, length method, caret method, replace method. Yeah. So then followed by equals, equals, ignore case, then two uppercase, two lowercase, trim. So these are methods that we have covered, and also split method. Okay, so depends on use case. We'll be knowing some other methods also that comes with the practice only. Okay, substring, part of a string. Okay. So have you gone through substring method?
Substring method, no, sir.
Okay. So first of all, is the method name is correct in my yesterday's slide? Substring. Is it one word or two words?
One word, sir.
Yeah, it's one word. Generally, we think two words. Then we expect this yes has to be capital. Method name. No, it's a one word. This is correct. This is wrong. Yeah, it has interesting story. First you explore. Then if you have doubts, you ask me. I'll tell you what is it. So then let us move to the next concept. Next concept. So in string properties, we discussed about one of the property that string is immutable. I mean, string objects are immutable. Correct? What is the meaning of this one? If we try to modify an existing string object, if programmer tries to modify existing string, then what will happen? Existing string, then multiple new objects will be created. Multiple new objects will be created. Correct or not? For example, if you remember, we are taking one empty string. So first, we are using only double quotes. Then to this, in reverse of Java, say for example, to empty string, what we are doing? We are adding first character called J. Then this is going to become a new object called J. Then to this J, we are adding A. Then it will become a new object called AJ. The next, we will be adding V to this. Then it will become VAJ, one more new object. Then we are adding A to this. Then it will become one more new object. It means when we try to perform some task on string, each modification will create a new string object. Correct or not? So finally, you want only one. But in memory, all these remaining objects also will be present. So these are extra objects which are created. Then that is unnecessary memory consumption or not?
Yes, sir. It is unnecessary.
Unnecessary memory consumption. So therefore, strings are recommended, or we have to go for its alternate concept.
Alternate concept, sir.
Yeah. So for that, the programmer has to understand that. So it is, if the requirement is for more modifications, then don't use string. Okay. Strings are not meant for modification. So it's not a string drawback. It's a programmer's understanding is wrong. Okay. Strings are not meant for modifications. So like if our requirement is modify very frequently, then don't use a string. If our requirement is not to modify, then string is best, because one time it will be created and it will be reused for multiple times with the same address from the string constant pool of memory. Yeah, this is one point to remember. Then what if we want to modify? What if you want to modify? So for that, Java has come up with one more concept called as string builder. String builder. Is the next concept. What is this string builder? String builder is a predefined class. So since it's a class name, Camel naming standards we have to follow. Sorry, Pascal naming standards we have to follow. So S and B has to be capital, no space. String builder is a predefined class like string. Yeah, it is present in which package? Same as like string. String builder is present in which package? java.lang package. This is the package name, java.lang.string builder. It is by default available. So we, as a programmer, we no need to import this package, unlike scanner class. Clear? So if it is a string builder, then how to create a string builder object? And what are the properties of the string builder? Okay. So before we go for the object creations, let us understand the properties. Properties of string builder. Strings are immutable. Therefore, there is a problem. For that, the solution is a string builder. So string builder objects are mutable or immutable? String builder objects are mutable. Mutable means changeable or modifiable. So this is the first property. So for a solution with string, for a problem with string builder is a solution where string is immutable, but string builder is mutable. Okay, it's possible to modify. Yeah. Then what's the purpose of it? If the requirement is to modify strings, I mean string data, then instead of going for a string, we have to go for a string builder. Then does the modification will happen in the same location? Has to be. Otherwise, what is the extra use of this string builder then? Yeah. So that's the first property. Then, so the declarations, and there are some other properties that we'll discuss in next slide. Then here, the syntax to declare a string builder object is like normally we create object by using class name string builder, then object name say SB equals new class name called string builder. Then here we can go for open and close parenthesis semicolon. So this is what, this is a empty string builder object. We can't give any, if we are not giving any value, we are not giving. So this is called as empty string builder object. Yeah. So then, since it is a string builder object, like a string, it also stores internally in a array format, internally in array format. So for that empty string builder, what will happen is for every string builder object, so there is a property called as capacity, and also there is a property called as length. Okay. So for this system dot, sorry, not properties, methods, system dot out dot println sb dot length method. Then what's the length of this? How many characters are there? Since it is empty, therefore we are going to get the output as 0. Yeah. So at the same time, for every string builder object, there is a one more method we can apply on it called capacity. What is this capacity method means, first of all? The capacity means number of characters can be stored, or in a simplest way, let me say that. So first, when JVM execute this line of code, when JVM execute this line of code, what will happen in memory is inside a RAM. So there is the object memory is nothing but heap. Inside heap, there are 16 empty cells will be created. 16 empty cells will be created. What is the index numbers to start from? 0, 1, 2, and so on. Since there are 16 empty cells, but index is starting from 0, what's the last index? 15 is the last index. This is whenever we create empty string builder object, JVM will create one object with 16 empty cells. The capacity means the number of cells means this one. That's why for this line of code, we are going to get output called as 16 in this scenario. This is the first part. Yeah. Then if I go for one more syntax, what the syntax is? Again, string builder. SB. So 1 equals new string builder. So previously I have given that empty, but this time I want to give some value. So let me take it as Java. Now what will happen? So because we are using the string builder with some value, it's not empty. So therefore, when JVM execute this line of code, so it will be stored like this. First what? Empty string builder object will be created with how many cells? 16 cells, 0 to 15. This is the first part. Please understand this point very carefully. Then after that, what is the value that is there? Java. So it will not be use this existing 15. For Java to store, next to 4 more cells will be created. Because one for J and one for A and one for V and one for A. It means 16, 17, 18, 19. Then JAVA will be added from the available empty cells starting onwards. This is important point. When we create only empty, 15 cells will be created. But at the time of declaration, if you are giving some value, then along with this default capacity, those extra cells also will be added, and this value will be stored from first index position or first empty index position onwards. Did you understand my point carefully or clearly?
Sir,
Yeah. So then to this also, if you try to print the length, that is SB1, and on this string builder object, length method is there. So now what is the length? Length means number of available characters. How many are there? 4 is the length. And for this same SB1, if you print the capacity, SB1 dot capacity method, then what's the capacity? Means total number of cells. How many were there? 0 to 19 means there were 20 cells are there. This is the difference when we keep empty string builder object and when we have a string builder object at the time of declaration. Am I clear? Yeah. Then here, let me add one property. The property is that string builder objects. String builder objects are not synchronized. Not synchronized for multiple threads. So here, what is this synchronized? What is this multiple thread? What is a thread? So these things we'll discuss after our next concept. I'll just convince you here, but more detail we'll discuss in OOPS thread concept. Okay, as of now, just remember this property. String builder objects are not synchronized for multiple threads. And then empty string builder object, it's a story, and string builder object with value at the time of declaration, and it's a story. So then let us go for one more thing. That is the third scenario, the string builder, then SB2 equals new string builder, of empty. So we know that length is 0, capacity is 16, already we discussed. Then followed by to this existing string builder object, SB2, then dot operator, we have a method called as append. Append means I'm trying to modify it. When you try to modify, it's mutable or immutable? Mutable, right? That's why when I'm trying to append this with, say, Java, then what will happen? So first for this line in memory or in RAM, now if I write more clearly with two memory segments, that is heap, and then one more is stack. Yeah, do we need string constant pool here? No, because these are objects. Objects will not be created in the string constant pool. Only without new keyword, only if you try to write for strings, they will sit in the string constant pool. But string builder, we can't write without new keyword. There is only one way to create a string builder objects is with a new keyword only. There is no without new keyword concept for a string builders. Now, first line of code, what will happen? In heap memory, so JVM will create internally one array starting from 0 with of 16 cells indexing from 0 to 15 and some address. Then left hand side, SB2 is a variable which is local variable because we'll write this code inside a method. A variable inside a method is local variable with address of 0x100. It will be pointing to this. Then what we are trying to do? This is empty. Then we are trying to add something. Now where this addition will be there? In the existing string builder object only. I mean in the same location only. From available empty cells, the characters will be added to this. That is JAVA. It is modified or updated in the same location. That's why it's called as a mutable. String builder objects are mutable. Then after this, am I assigning back to same variable called SB2? No. Then if you print this SB2, what's output that we are going to get? Java is output. Then after this again, let us append SB2 dot append method. So this time I'll add Python to this. Just something. Now when JVM execute this line of code, what will happen now? First JVM goes to SB2 memory location. So it has an address, then it goes to the address location. Then programmer is trying to add how many characters? 6 more new characters. Does it have enough space? Yes, because previously there are characters from index numbers 0, 1 to 3 only. Then 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th are enough to add the remaining things. Then is it available or not? Yes, available. Therefore, when JVM execute this one, from next empty cell onwards, this Python will be added characters wise. Then something else is also available. So then where that is added? In the same heap location. That's what the meaning of a string builder objects are mutable. Then after this, if you just try to print it, so we'll get the output as, so this time, so Java, then Python. However, the way we type the spelling, the same way it will be added. This is the output. Yeah. Then after this, whenever we print capacity will be 16, 16, 16 only, because it's still the same object only. But length here 4, and here 0 for SB2, and here after appending this Java, then 4. After appending this Python, then Java Python is a 10 characters. 10 is a length.